My name's Rex. She'll call me Captain.
What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
The shroud of the dark side has fallen.
Going fives. On heavy.
Begun. The Clone War has.
You're listening to The World Between Worlds, a Star Wars podcast where four Star Wars fans and film enthusiasts are marathoning the entire Star Wars chronology, including the Clone Wars. Right now we're talking about the Mandalore arc in Season 2, where we're introduced to Mandalore and learn a lot more about our friend Obi-Wan and his past, and we're here to
discuss it.
I'm here to get paid. I'm Jordan.
Keats here.
Yates.
This is Jessica.
We'll be talking about Season 2, Episode 12, The Mandalore Plot, Season 2, Episode 13, Voyage of Temptation, and Season 2, Episode 14, Duchess of Mandalore. Now, Mandalore is a very storied planet and culture in Star Wars before the Clone Wars came out. And it all stemmed from...
one character.
And which character would that be?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett had 3 lines, and somewhere there was a note that said he wore Mandalorian armor, and from that, in classic Star Wars fashion, someone took one line and turned it into an entire culture of people and an entire history. And
So would you say the fans created Mandalore?
I think definitely the fans created Mandalore, and although the basic idea was that it was...
Or was it from a writer that wrote a book?
Yeah, I think it sort of accumulated over time. Then there are 2 different phases of it. There's the stuff in the early 90s, and then there's the Old Republic stuff. Jordan, do you know anything about...
No, I don't care about Mandalore. Boba Fett's annoying.
I also think Boba Fett's pointless.
In the EU, didn't everyone look like Boba Fett? Everyone had the exact same green kind of hue?
Yes, for the most part, yeah. So what I know that is in the current era, around the time of the Clone Wars and afterward, is there's a lot of people look like Boba Fett. I'm pretty sure Boba Fett becomes the leader of Mandalore at some point in the comics.
Dumb.
I'm rolling my eyes.
Doesn't Count Dooku help him?
Boba Fett, not Jango Fett.
Oh, that's a different thing.
Yeah, and I think it was he teamed up with Luke and Han and Leia, and then he became King of Mandalore or something crazy like that.
Lion
King? What stupid thing is this?
I think this was a Marvel comic in in the early 90s. So that's where it started. And for me, I'm more familiar with, and I think a lot of fans really like, the Old Republic era stuff, which is what these episodes most often allude to, which is that, thousands of years ago, the Mandalorians fought the Jedi in wars constantly, and, they built themselves up as warriors to where they could take Jedi one-on-one, as they do in this episode.
Is those are the soldiers on Mandalore?
Yeah, well, the idea...
Or the Death Watch?
Yes. It borrows from a very basic sci-fi trope, the idea of a warrior culture, right?
My name's Canderous, of the Mandalorian clan Ordo. I've been fighting across the galaxy for 40 of your years. For my people, it is the honor and glory of battle that rules us. It's through combat that we prove our worth, gain renown, and make our fortunes.
Why did they have the war in the first place?
At this point, I don't think it's there's no real reason. Mm-hmm. In the current canon, there's no real reason why they had a war.
Well, I think there is a reason, and that's from what we know of the culture. I think it's just a warrior culture, and that's it.
Because they said that their culture used to, almost destroyed itself through civil war.
Yeah, it's very detailed, in the old EU that's not canon anymore, but I think for the most part, every hint that we've been getting at is that the new version is very, very similar. And,
It's like the Romulans.
Very much like the Romulans. to me, I hear warrior culture, I think the Klingons, I think the Romulans, I think House Harkonnen and Dune, I think, and the Mandalorians definitely fall into this category of generic sci-fi villain.
So, I mean, I guess the more that we're talking about it, though, the more I'm kind of like, duh, like this whole we're completely peaceful is like doomed to fail. Like if they do have a warrior culture and that's so like intrinsic to them, I mean, because they are all the like at least whatever blonde Padme, whatever her name is.
Blonde Padme.
What's her name?
Satine.
So Satine, like she's completely on the other end of the spectrum, which is like absolutely not.
Yeah.
War is never justifiable.
Well, I think it was kind of out of storytelling necessity, too, because, like, if you have these people that can take on the Jedi, like, why aren't they in the movies, you know? And so I think George Lucas, like, saw this as an opportunity to, like, evolve the story, and I think it was really interesting, and maybe we should just get into it now. In the first episode, the Mandalore plot, Mandalore is transitioning into, like, a pacifist, peaceful state, and perhaps most significantly, Mandalore is a neutral system in the Clone War. They are not engaging in the war at all, and they neither support the Republic or the Separatists. Obi-Wan is summoned to Mandalore because he has a familiarity with the planet and with the leader of the planet, Duchess Satine.
What I got out of this episode mostly was that the Mandalorians' view of peace, or like, I guess their belief in how they should acquire peace is like completely the opposite compared to like the Jedi.
They're just ignoring the war. That's all they're doing.
What?
They're just ignoring it. That's how they want to keep peace.
Is war ever justified? George Lucas begs us to ask the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know what Obi-Wan thinks. The answer is absolutely yes.
A peacekeeper belongs on the front lines of conflict. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do his job.
The work of a peacekeeper is to make sure that conflict does not arise.
Yes, a noble description, but not a realistic one.
Is reality what makes a Jedi abandon his ideals? Or is it simply a response to political convenience?
We've seen Obi-Wan like have sort of like a militant angle and a militant mind before, but here, I mean, for me, I think it was definitely almost shocking though, like how much he resisted like Satine's pacifism.
Do you think? Because this was something I was thinking during the episode. Was does he really believe what he's saying? Or is he just kind of like defending what he's doing?
I think he's just a really good follower.
Yeah,
he's just he's a soldier. He knows how to follow orders.
It's basically like the Rex episode, except Rex doesn't have like a, you know what, I kind of respect your opinion, but I view it differently. It's just, you're wrong. That's how he views it.
And I feel like all of these episodes, like the Jedi, are always being challenged by like people from other planets of like, war is wrong, you guys are hypocrites, and like you kind of can always see in their make-believe eyes that they kind of are like, I wonder, but they're just so indoctrinated.
Yeah, this definitely felt like the biggest challenge to like the central Jedi ethos of the show so far. Definitely, and on the grandest scale too, because another thing that was significant, I think, was that this was like a real huge planet, like, and it was a huge city. Because most of the time we go to like some podunk little town, the only people there are like farmers. But now we have like or I
was going to talk about King Julian's they were like the first pacifist group that we came across.
But isn't liberty worth fighting for?
But is it worth killing for? Fighting for something doesn't necessarily mean you have to destroy everything in your path. Only when you lay your arms down and pursue a course of non-violence can you make this claim to me that the Jedi are peacekeepers.
They're not even really a group. They didn't even
live
there.
They're not even like human.
They're almost like monkeys. Almost like Madagascar.
They're lemurs. Come on, geez.
Who do you think would win in a fight? Pacifist Mandalorians or King Julian's race?
To out pacify each other?
Yeah.
I think they would for a pacifist fight.
Or how about battle to the death?
Definitely King Julian.
King Julian would wrap them up in a rope, and they would just fall.
Submit.
King Julian, everyone.
but no, you're right. In terms of the technology, they were, I think purposefully leaving like a sort of technological lifestyle behind and going back to, a more simple way of living.
Baskets.
Indeed, yes.
But that's aesthetic.
Yeah, I think it was aesthetic. But speaking of aesthetic, Mandalore, this gigantic cubist like mega city,
Minecraft.
Sure, it kind of does look like Minecraft.
Minecraft-alore?
Did you see the trees? They're literally like square bushes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this is like an advanced society that has, a bunch of technology and like is super artisanal, like we might consider like Naboo and
yeah, I definitely saw it as like a Naboo Coruscant, like just like inner world, whatever.
But yeah, so the stakes are different because it's a big city, and that's another thing that sort of harkens back to like more like hard sci-fi stuff, because you get this like super advanced technological society, like how the Klingons and the Romulans and House Harkonnen are also like super advanced.
It's also some like it's like showing you the political landscape like at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's this like large like important society, and like it leads like, what is it, like the Confederation of Planets that
it's
neutral
neutral
systems. Well, by the end of the arc, are they still neutral?
Well, yes, they are.
At
the very end of the arc, they are still neutral.
Do you think George purposefully chose the...
You're on a first name basis now.
Yeah, me and George. Do you think George purposefully chose like the whole glass aesthetic to like show a political...
People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah, that's what I was... that's what I was thinking of, like...
I don't think he's that deep.
Multi-layered.
Well, I think he has some ideas, and then like his writers kind of like flesh it out.
I don't know. I think one area George Lucas excels is creating environments and characters and like
creating aesthetics.
Well, no.
True though.
He created Vaporwave.
Creating all of those things, but in service of the story. Because I always think the choice of the planet in the George Lucas movies, it always like says something about the story.
I think it also shows that their culture is fragile.
That's true.
And their progress is fragile.
And one of the very first sequences, and the first like moment of escalation is a Mandalorian jumping off the balcony and like landing, and you, instead of a splat, you hear the glass shatter beneath him.
Do you?
Yeah.
That scene was really intense.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
It was probably the best political thriller moment, I think, in like.
I always
in Star
remember
Wars
that
stuff.
I kind of forgot the whole plot of this arc, but I literally remember the guy jumping off the cliff.
The sign of the Death Watch.
This goes far beyond vandalism. This is a political statement against your government and against you. You're not safe here.
Another thing that I thought was interesting was that like the Jedi are they definitely have a high horse, and they have, I mean, to say that you're peacekeepers for the galaxy is is kind of like an arrogant statement. And Obi-Wan says it in A New Hope, like,
for over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the dark times.
We had years of peace that we earned. And meanwhile, they're seem in their complacency, they're like the first to jump at the war. And then you have this planet of Mandalore, who is a warrior culture, who are the only people that maybe could have understood, like, hey, war is not good. Like, we are not going to do this. Even though there's obviously sort of like a resistance bubbling underneath Mandalore that wants, war and wants a fight.
But the Mandalorians kind of like despise Jedi because of their whole view on peace. It's kind of like, from their point of view, it's kind of blasphemous.
Well, but this is like a particular like subsection of Mandalore too.
So not all of Mandalore is pacifist.
Well, what you said was that like Mandalore, like all Mandalore hate the Jedi, and I'm just not sure.
I'm asking.
In the old days, yes, and why? I'm not. It's not exactly clear.
Well, I'm talking about the current.
Yeah.
Canon.
Maybe they just like sneer at the Jedi a little bit, or like roll their eyes because it seems like so hypocritical. Like, how could you be like a peacekeeper and a warrior at the same time? Like, how could you be like a peacekeeping general?
I don't think they're thinking that deep into it. I think they just want to kill people.
Well, actually, I think they're not real. They're all fictional characters.
That's Jordan's standard like thing that he goes to.
Yeah, this is not all real. What am I doing here?
No, but I'm trying to think of like, because I'm trying to think of like if the Mandalorians met eyes with Death Watch.
Met eyes?
Yeah, if they like face.
I like that, met eyes.
No, met eyes, yeah. If they like made eye contact, figuratively,
What's
like
the longest
would
road
that be
to get to the center? idea?
Would that be like, would they like view Death Watch as like an extremist version of the Jedi? Because they kind of like have the same ideology of like fighting for peace, except theirs is a lot more harsher.
But are Death Watch fighting for peace?
Yeah,
I think Death Watch are just fighting for fight.
Yeah,
They're fighting
They want
to
to
bring
go back to their
fighting.
old ways.
Yeah,
of being like warriors.
Or you saying?
He wants to talk about.
I want to talk about Pre Vizsla. Does anyone want to take?
So Pre Vizsla is the first white guy to betray Satine.
White guy in Star Wars.
He's the first white guy ever in Star Wars.
Who is Pre Vizsla? Like, what is his ranking on Mandalore?
He is the governor
of the moon.
Of the moon, yeah.
Oh, wow! I want that rank.
Governor of the moon.
That's a pretty awesome rank. But yeah, that's the moon where they established that they had, I guess, at one point they exiled everyone that was still
all
like
the warriors.
Australia.
It is kind of like it is. It's like it was a penal colony essentially. It's a punishment.
So Pre Vizsla turns out he's a bad guy.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, you see, like, some white buff guy with a tight face and blonde hair with, like, a whiny voice in Star Wars.
So it looks like handsome Squidward.
He's, like, such a, like, fratty.
Yeah.
He's nasty.
As far as villains go, I really liked Pre Vizsla. Like I bought into his.
No, Pre Vizsla sucked.
I love his reveal. Just
wait,
failure. That was
baller. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I forgot about that.
I think they chose like good moments to exemplify, what the Mandalorian ethos is like all about. Like that moment is definitely a good one where it's just like, oh, you didn't kill Obi-Wan? Well, you don't deserve to be on the team.
You don't
You're
deserve
fucking
to
dead.
live.
Yeah.
Like, also, though, how could Satine be tricked? Like, is she that dumb? Because she seemed pretty smart. Like, come on. That guy's clearly a bad guy.
I think she gives people the benefit of the doubt before she makes assumptions.
Yeah, because
that was her first mistake.
Well, the whole thing was like, in the whole episode, pretty much every single character we meet is like out to screw her over. We know that she's smart, so should she have seen it coming? Probably. But it's also like throughout the progression of all the episodes, it's like the ground is disappearing beneath her. So.
Yeah.
I think it's also like delusions of grandeur because she kind of like. She wants to think Mandalore is like completely perfect. So I don't think she wants to think that she's a baddie, even though it's probably really obvious.
I take it back. I think she is stupid because they couldn't find where Death Watch was, but yet they have a moon where they exiled a bunch of ex-warriors. Like, why would you not think that the first place to check?
But isn't that a bigger analogy for all of Star Wars in the first place? Because they exile all the bad people to the margins of society and the dark side, and they think they have peace for all these years when really you were just out of sight, out of mind. Then they all get together and then gang up on you when you should have integrated them and tried to understand where they were coming from.
Governor?
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi. Now, that woman tarnishes the very name Mandalorian. Defend her, if you will. This lightsaber was stolen from your Jedi temple by my ancestors during the fall of the Old Republic. Since then, many Jedi have died upon its blade. Prepare yourself to join them.
There's a line where she says that Pre Vizsla is like leading the investigation into Death Watch because he's the governor, and everything that she tells Obi-Wan presumably is something she learned from Pre Vizsla. And as the story progresses, it's basically like, oh man, is like Death Watch more than like 3 people? And then by the end of the episode, they find themselves right in the middle of their base, and there are thousands of Mandalorians with jetpacks and lightsabers and guns.
Right, it's like a whole army.
Yeah.
I also think that this isn't supposed to be the first time that Duchess meets Pre Vizsla. Like, they have like a pre-established friendship.
She says they're friends, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think like she's stupid because she didn't think he was a bad guy.
I take my opinion back. She's not stupid again. Because I'm remembering... I'm so tired. I'm sorry. I'm remembering that they
you
weren't...
say that like every episode.
Dude, life, man.
Death Watch.
Death Watch has gotten to me.
Watching out for my death.
She's not stupid because they only did like graffiti and stuff in the beginning, and they just got violent, so that's why they didn't check. So now I'm remembering the episode So I take it back. You're not stupid, Satine. I still love you.
Another thing that made me like really appreciate this episode was the dynamic between Satine and Obi-Wan when it comes to like Obi-Wan's in trouble and needs like Satine to help him out. It reminded me a lot of Indiana Jones.
I guess I could kind of reminded me of Indiana Jones. Not really though.
I guess it's more because it reminded me of Padme and Anakin. You know, like that's their same thing. Is like part of their romance comes in like they like are badass together and like.
And are like in situations where they're stressed, but also like they only get those situations to be together. So like they're
it's very sexual.
Yeah,
it's very
it is.
sexual.
It is very sexual.
Yeah, there's so much tension, and especially I feel like their opposing views on like the war adds more of the sex appeal to each other.
No, I definitely agree.
For sure.
And this, I think this is worth noting, is that they don't reveal in the first episode what exactly Obi-Wan and Satine's like former relationship was. There is the implication that it's very close, but so I take it that everyone did get the impression that it was like a romantic relationship right off the bat.
I could kind of tell. At
There's a
first
line.
I was like, am I imagining this? But they both have blonde hair and they're attractive. It must like be a thing. And there we fucking go.
Wait, isn't Obi-Wan like ginger?
Obi-Wan's like
Ginger.
strawberry
Very-
blonde. He's
No.
like dirty blonde.
Yeah, I'd say dirty blonde.
He's dirty
No.
blonde.
I would say like total brown hair.
No, disagree.
And
Hard
and a lot of
disagree.
Oh god, this is gonna
Regardless,
Everyone literally said something different. Every single fucking one of them.
We're all colorblind.
regardless, there is a line. Well, you certainly haven't changed much, which implies a relationship.
Well, I mean, it just implies that they
I
haven't
rest my
changed much.
case.
It just implies that they have.
Stop shooting kids down.
No, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of the first episode, what I said originally was that in terms of the first episode, there isn't they don't reveal the nature of the relationship.
Implicit.
It is implicit.
It's very implicit, but then
And it gets more
I think
explicit
the
with
line
time.
is like pretty revealing.
Yes, it's definitely the biggest line in that episode. That's like, oh, what are we not hearing? Where it is implicit in the first episode, the second episode, which is titled Voyage of Temptation, which I think is like...
That's hilarious.
It's the most obvious... if that's the most obvious reveal is the title of the episode. This episode like definitely opens up Obi-Wan and Satine's relationship in a huge way. And
I'm very glad he had Anakin with him, so that way you could see like the balance of like the different ways that they handled that.
Obi-Wan couldn't like react to what being with Sabine again was like because he didn't have anyone to go off of. He's not going to look into the camera and say, "Oh my God, I remember Satine." But now he has Anakin to be like, "What's exactly the deal here?" And we find out directly, Obi-Wan and Satine were romantically, there was some romance there a long time ago when him and Qui-Gon were stationed on Mandalore to protect her. And they did like
he saved her
Yeah.
a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Didn't they like go camping or something?
I think they were like on the run, and in hiding.
It
And
was basically like Anakin and Padme.
yeah.
It was like the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And the whole episode,
It's stylistically designed to be that way.
it is.
Whoa.
Except
True.
Obi-Wan wasn't like a minor.
It was just a joke.
No, I'm saying that like it's different from Padme and Anakin because Anakin was like 12, and they were the same age, like Obi-Wan and Satine.
They said he wasn't 12; he was like 4.
Yeah, there you go.
The whole episode takes place on a ship en route for Coruscant that's attacked, and all these forces that are trying to kill Satine are what really puts the pressure on Obi-Wan and everyone on the crew, including Anakin, but that finally allows sort of these emotions to really come up into the forefront and for them to admit that, yes, they have very serious, like, romantic feelings for each other.
Spiders.
And there are scary spiders.
Every time you cut off one spider, you grow more spiders, just like the nature of unrequited love.
Preach.
Preach. Very like softening for Obi-Wan. Putting myself in Anakin's shoes, like it was like a nice reprieve from like, okay, we get it, Obi-Wan.
He was very vulnerable.
He was very vulnerable.
And like Anakin didn't even know what to say at some points. Where like Anakin and Obi-Wan were together, and it was clear like something was bothering Obi-Wan. I think that's one of the first lines Anakin has in the episode. He's like, "Are you okay? Like, just what's the deal?"
Yeah, probably could sense it. I loved when he called her his girlfriend though.
Yeah.
He did?
Cute. Yeah, he was like,
Go
they
see your
had
girlfriend.
they had to split up, and then Anakin was like, "Go
Oh,
save
yeah.
your girlfriend. I'll take care of the spiders."
And it also, like, you know, I know there's, like, that fandom debate of, like, Obi-Wan's a virgin and stuff like that. But you could so, like...
Hell no, that guy's fucked, man.
No, he's a virgin. I could really tell in this episode.
I think
he's very virginal.
I kind of agree. I think he there
puts the quips in perspective.
It does put the quips in perspective. He's just if he in modern day he might be like have a Twitch
He never
stream.
got the chance to become a man.
He's a man-child.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely in like the theater of war he's not, but in this
Right.
like there are moments where it's just very obvious he's like insecure and like doesn't know what to say.
This may not be the time to ask, but were you and Satine ever...
I don't see how that has any bearing on the situation at hand.
He's so cute. Oh my god.
Yeah, I love their relationship. I love like their fights.
The scene at the reception party or whatever it was, I don't even know what it was, where they're just standing around and drinking,
Yeah.
and then they start fighting, and then
Yeah.
it's like this flirting is getting too intense.
Well, it's weird because most of the dialogue is like political, like it's
but it's like flirting at the same time.
Philosophical.
Yeah, it is.
The Republic military presence is the only sure defense against the Separatists.
Even extremists can be reasoned with.
Perhaps if one can be heard over the clanking of their battle droids.
Oh, the sarcasm of a soldier.
The delusion of a dreamer.
Duchess, Master Jedi, it's been a long trip.
I just think it's funny that that's how they flirt is like they're just like my political opinions are superior to yours. You are a dreamer. Like
I mean, they care about like ideas. Like at the end of the day, like that's the most attractive thing is somebody who can like contend with your ideas.
that's true. They're both powerful, like emotionally and they're both intelligent.
Yeah, they like challenge each other.
And she also knows how to fight. That
Which
could be an attractive force for Obi-Wan.
I mean, they have opposite ideals, but then she knows how to fight. So I guess that was a cool moment in there, where she was like, "Oh, I'm a pacifist, but I defend myself," and then Obi-Wan was like, "Oh, you sound like a Jedi."
But like she doesn't even have like a real weapon. It's just like
it's a deactivated. And it looked so cool.
Yeah, it does look cool.
It's like pepper spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, you're using a weapon. You're a Jedi now.
So she's not technically using a weapon.
No.
But then after that, Obi-Wan does use that as like, after that, like, we're cool. Like, because after they're fighting, and you know, it's cool, they're fighting back to back. I mean, there's nothing really more emblematic of them, like, being a team than that. But after that, Obi-Wan's like, you know what? I respect you now. I, like, respect your opinions. And then she's like, oh, I have to this whole time. And they're both just like, oh, whatever.
Well, is it this episode or is it the next one where she like thinks she's gonna die?
The episode ends in like a critical character decision where Obi-Wan and Satine, who have been arguing about pacifism this whole time, are put in a situation where Satine is worried that she's gonna die. The villain of the episode, who is another traitor that's part of her cabinet or whatever, puts them on the spot and says like, if you guys kill me, then neither of you are pacifists.
And Obi-Wan's put in a position where he can't save her.
Because he's gonna blow up the whole ship.
Yeah. So it's just interesting how it has led up to that moment of like, she's basically her protector this whole time, and he's being put in a position where he can't defend her.
And then Satine totally uses the moment to be like, I've loved you for my entire life. And then is this when Obi-Wan reveals that he would have left?
Yes.
The
Oh my
Jedi
God, I
Order
love that
if
part
she,
so
like,
much.
said the word.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Amazing.
Say farewell, Duchess.
Obi-Wan, it looks like I may never see you again. I don't know quite how to say this, but I've loved you from the moment you came to my aid all those years ago.
I don't believe this.
Satine, this is hardly the time or place for... All right. Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
This is film worthy.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was film worthy.
I think right after I watched that part, I texted you guys in the group chat.
You did, yeah.
And I was like, dude, Obi-Wan should have left the fucking order, man.
I
just want them to be
that
together.
alternate timeline where they're together.
Star Wars Infinities. I'm gonna start writing it. It's a comic book line where like one thing different happens, like from one of the original
It's
movies.
like the butterfly effect for Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, so that moment before, Anakin's there where Obi-Wan says, like, hey, like, I would have left the order for you. And to me, I think that's interesting because, I mean, that's on the table for Anakin. I mean, Anakin could just leave. And here's Obi-Wan, who's, like, you know, a character, although we're getting a little more shades of gray to his character in the Clone Wars, like, overall, I think morally he's someone, like, we trust in terms of, like, making the right decision. Obi-Wan's a character that's like, yeah, I love you so much, I will leave, and it's worth it. And then Anakin is, like, even more, like, deeply, like, in, like, this sort of crazy love, like, unstable love, perhaps, unhealthy love.
Well, I think it's because he's also power hungry. That has the 100% to do with it.
I think Obi-Wan is much more, like, black and white. His decision was, like, either I stay in the Order, and I have nothing, like, I can't be in love with you, or I'm gonna leave the Order and be with you. And Anakin is more like, well, these are gray times. Like, we're Jedis and we're generals, so I'm just gonna, like, be in the Order and be with you, because, like, this whole thing is hypocritical.
Or, like, just sink deeper into, like, more lies, you know? Like, just, like... Because that, at the end of the day, I mean, Anakin is, like, withholding, like, one of the most truthful, like, sides of him, like, in everyday life. Like, he can't express, like, the thing that's keeping him going and keeping him alive and keeping him, like...
I think Obi-Wan knows that Anakin's with Padme. And I think he sympathizes because of his thing with Satine. So Obi-Wan's like a major enabler.
And it might also be like that whole like parents' perspective on their kids of like going to college and like drinking and smoking. And it's like, oh, I had those good times. You should have those good times.
Son, why don't you want to smoke weed with me?
My bad, Dad.
Anakin says in Attack of the Clones, I don't think the system works. But that is followed up by a bunch of sarcasm. Do you think that, but is that one line genuine?
I think that one line is genuine. I think that's probably one of my favorite, in terms of dialogue, that's probably the one Anakin Padme scene that I think works, is just like, he's like...
Mocking her?
He's mocking her, and he's kind of letting off that he's kind of fashy, and she's like, what? Like... Are you joking? He's like, maybe. And then, but she's like, oh, I guess that's kind of cute.
Well, and remember, Ahsoka's like, haha, my master's a fascist. You wouldn't like his ideas. He thinks that war should go on forever.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly at war with himself.
True.
I mean, that's just such a great scene where that happens, and then it's like, oh, a dilemma. Like, what are they going to do? Oh, it's kind of like Indiana Jones again, where he's like, has like the whip thing, and then Harrison Ford just like shoots his gun. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, it was a sword. Yeah, it was a sword. It's
it was like a sword fight, and then like Harrison Ford just like shoots the guy. This is like the same thing, except like Anakin just like kills the guy. But then, like, it played the Imperial March, like his, like, Death Vader music.
Death Vader.
Death Watch Vader music.
Death Watch Vader music. Because it was, like, cold-blooded. And he, like, loved it.
And he, like, smiled. And he was just like, what? He was gonna blow up the ship. I had to.
He smiled.
He's like, you're not gonna blame me for this.
Yeah. Like, I just saved both of you.
Convenient.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to make the difficult decisions that they... we're gonna have to, and the bad guy is dead now.
The evil was convenient.
Yeah, I really think, like, if you put into perspective, like, how cinematic the Clone Wars is, this is, like, the most cinematic Clone Wars moment. It's just every beat is, like, hit perfectly.
Is it all downhill from here?
Yes. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's all uphill.
It's all
really? Oh my god, yay. I'm excited.
I guess I would say, like, in terms of Obi-Wan stories, this is probably peak.
Oh, that sucks.
There's some more, but yeah, that's in terms of that's like really like reinvigorates the character and gives you more understanding. I think this is probably the best it's gonna get. But there's some really good Obi-Wan moments that
there are more characters to understand deeply. But so I wanted to talk about Anakin's whole perspective on this episode because we haven't really talked about that. But he's kind of acting like as a secondary guard with Obi-Wan, and I just thought his whole side mission with Rex and Cody, like when he says, "I'm missing dinner." Despite all of like the investment I had with Obi-Wan and Satine, I thought Anakin's whole mission was really engaging, and we finally saw a lightsaber throw for the first time.
Oh yeah, that was sick.
Thank God.
What is
Yeah,
that?
he threw the lightsaber at the spider when it was crawling up one of like the vents or something. Okay. And it like just sliced off 2 legs. It was useless, but it looked cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you just need good action to like offset like the romance angle, because basically Obi-Wan and Satine like can't consummate until the end of the episode where you have that moment. So you have to have something to keep propelling the story forward.
I had those good suspense moments too, where they're like walking in the dark and like they don't know if like they turn the corner they're gonna run into the spider.
But it's just R2.
But it's just R2. Yeah. R2 he was so cute in this episode.
Yeah.
And Anakin's like, "Hey buddy, you want to help me find the spider?" And I was like, "Aw, they're so cute."
Totally.
So
in the next episode,
the bad guy fails in the previous episode, so they make it to Coruscant.
they do make it to Coruscant, and that is where Satine makes her case to the Senate. Hey, please don't invade my homeworld. I want to be out of the war. That is what neutral means. I want a neutral system, people.
She has to explain that to Palpatine. This is what neutral means.
Yeah, there's all this stuff about like empire and sovereignty and stuff like that.
Yes, and meanwhile, in front of the entire Senate chamber, they show like a hologram of someone's close to Satine saying, and it's kind of like a weak plot device, but you know, it gets everything set
I
up.
bought it.
You bought it?
I
Okay.
bought it.
Deputy Minister Jarek is an honorable man. He would never commit such lies to the record. The Mandalorian government holds no secrets from its people.
If only that were true.
Death Watch is far stronger than we once thought. If we're to combat them effectively, we must have Republic assistance. Instead, this government acts out of pride and rejects the help of the Jedi.
It's not true. It's not true.
Duchess Satine will ultimately cause our defeat. Make no mistake. Republic intervention is absolutely necessary.
Bit by bit, Satine realizes that she's being set up, and that there's a force that wants her out of power and wants the Republic to occupy Mandalore, and it ends up being the case that she's actually ends up being on the run for a murder that she didn't commit. And that's really the setup for the episode, and Obi-Wan's in a difficult position to try and help her. And also the fact that Palpatine and the entire Senate is now bearing down on her. Satine is, in a way, more alone than she's ever been.
She doesn't believe that like the Separatists are working with Death Watch, right? That's the whole thing?
I believe she does say that at the beginning.
She's like a total hero, basically.
She is.
Like, she's only going on like her faith in her people alone, and like totally putting herself out there. And I mean, she's very like heroic.
She believes like her people are good, and you know, for the most part, she's right, because we
She
as the
is
audience,
right.
we as the audience know that most of the machinations are happening behind the scenes at the highest level of power.
Look what happened.
Look what happened. This attack proves I've upset someone. I must be on the right track.
This attack proves your enemies are here even on Coruscant. You're not going to let Republic authorities handle this, are you? You're not backing down.
Republic authorities? Certainly not. I'm on my way to the Ministry of Intelligence right now to meet my contact.
Don't you see? You need your friends with you, not held at arm's length.
It's cool that like Obi-Wan like helps her.
Yeah.
'Cause he's like kind of a goody-goody.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Like, with the pressure from the Jedi Council, he probably, you know, there's a case for Obi-Wan not helping her.
He's a good follower until when it comes to like love and how he feels for Satine
and Anakin, like the decision in Phantom Menace that he makes to train Anakin. Yoda is like, listen, I can't tell you not to train Anakin, but don't train Anakin.
Yeah. Well, I think that was more out of loyalty to Qui-Gon, though.
But still, I mean, like the fact that he has this conviction to, and obviously love to Qui-Gon as well, to your point. And like his conviction to stay with Anakin for 20 years or whatever is also impressive.
It's just like, it's so impossible to not have an attachment to someone. I mean, Anakin even says the line in like the second episode.
But it's obvious you had feelings for her. Surely that would affect your decision.
Oh, it did. I live by the Jedi Code.
Of course. As Master Yoda says, a Jedi must not form attachments.
Yes, but he usually leaves out the undercurrent of remorse.
Damn.
Yeah, straight up.
It was cool what he said, because it really, like, helped me understand, like, what their state of mind must be.
I just really want them to be together. I care about their relationship more than Padme and Anakin's.
Agreed. And also there are some really cool capes.
Yeah.
Anybody else catch that?
Overall, lots of capes that are
That
great.
was awesome cape play.
Mandalore arc, best capes so far.
Best cape so far, for sure.
I don't know. Grievous's cape in the last week's episode was pretty live.
That was a good cape, but there are more capes in this one.
Okay.
And she was wearing like a Gryffindor cape.
Yeah. Are you talking about like her burgundy cape?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing was live.
Started like a cape podcast.
I have like a problem though. Like, why was she like running away? Because she was framed that she shot the guy or whatever, but she doesn't have a gun. It's just a demagnetizer or whatever it's called. What is it again?
Deactivator.
A deactivator. It's not even a real gun. She couldn't kill anybody with that. So she could have just said, hey, I don't even have a gun. How could I kill this guy?
Well, I think part of the episode and the conflict...
Could have eaten it.
Yeah.
Eaten the gun.
It's like there's no X-rays in Star Wars to like solve that.
They don't have that technology yet.
Well,
That's smart.
I think part of the setup of the conflict in this episode was that Satine doesn't know who she can trust anymore, and she thinks she's being set up.
She is being set up.
And she is being set up, and she also doesn't trust like Palpatine or the Republic at this point because they're like forcing her into a corner in order for the Republic to occupy her planet.
And that's a big thing, is like, who can you trust anymore? Like, the tides are changing.
Right, and exactly.
And she also feels betrayed by like one of her closest friends, who's the guy in the hologram, because she's like, there's no way he would say this because he's totally on my side.
But at the same time, Obi-Wan also has the line at the beginning where he's like, you know, you have to trust your friends, and I'm your friend. But meanwhile, her friends are like, you know, disappearing like left and right. But Obi-Wan's still here. This person she hasn't seen in.
I think she was sad about that line because she wants to be more than friends, which also broke my heart.
Oh.
It's hard to like know who to trust.
Excuse me?
And it was cool how like she was like, I have to tell Padme, like you have to give this to Padme, like you can like definitely like trust Padme, you know.
And we pan around the room to like all the other like really cool girl senators, like Mon Mothma. I think it's her first time seeing her, but also
I see her walking.
Yeah, the
red-haired lady.
Arctic one.
Oh yeah, and Arctic. Yeah,
the Arctic like Neopet girl.
Yeah,
Neopet girl. Whoa, I forgot about Neopets.
Yeah, she does look like a Neopet, and yes, she was there. So we're like panning around to all these like strong female senator characters that we've met like through the show so far that are like oh, we get it.
This episode really puts like an emphasis on Palpatine's power because I saw this episode as more of like a typical frame scenario, but it really puts perspective into how powerful Palpatine is, like just overall controlling the Seppies and the Republic in order to hunt her down and also like manipulate the Senate against her.
Pretty much everything he says in this episode, in every exchange, is just the worst thing that Satine could hear, like, in that moment.
Yeah,
like, pretty much she'll give this, this great speech and really stick up for herself and her people, and then Palpatine was like, like, let me find a way to use that to make it sound like the Republic occupation is the way to go.
He's so good at, like, manipulating and making it seem like he's, like, this, like, wise, old, like, gentle...
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that. If he wasn't an old man and he was like 20 something, no one would like support him.
Well, in the Phantom Menace, he was so nicer too. He was like just a little more.
He was so like smiley.
Yeah, it was a little more. Yeah,
like walking up with his chest out, like smiling and stuff.
Senator Palpatine has been nominated to succeed Valorum as Supreme Chancellor.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
Well, we get to a point where Obi-Wan and Padme play back the full undoctored message, the holo recording, and Palpatine gives like this look to Masamita.
And who is Masamita, Keats? Because I don't think we've ever talked about him before on the show.
Yeah, he's like his blue assistant guy that's like always following
and that's
him.
exactly the character.
The blue assistant guy.
And he's like always holding like a staff.
Yeah, I guess for an assistant.
And he's always like slamming it on the ground.
Yeah.
Order! Order!
I think it's just like a judge's gavel, but for like walking
aliens.
For walking purposes, so he can just carry it around everywhere. Imagine like he carried like a hammer and he's just knocking on walls. So like he gives him this look, and that like made me think like, does Mas Amedda know that like about Palpatine's ulterior motives?
100%, because they look at each other because they know they've been caught. And now Palpatine's salty because his plan isn't going through.
And that puts the blame for all of these machinations really solely at Palpatine's feet, like if that like implication is true.
Yeah, because that's what I want to think, but I also want to think Palpatine's smarter than that, like not trusting him with just this blue guy.
We don't really know his backstory, though.
That's true.
Maybe he has like an important history with Palpatine.
The thing about Palpatine is that Palpatine knows how to use these slimy people like Mas Amedda, who all they want is to suck up to the guy who has the most power. And it's like a two-way street, too, because once Mas Amedda knows these things, he also knows how dangerous Palpatine is and how you don't want to cross that guy.
Yeah, and I think it's like a Hux Kylo Ren situation where obviously Mas Amedda has no intentions of staying where he is. I think he totally wants to like overthrow Palpatine. So I think it's also like a completely closed off perspective that we have on him. I think he totally is like trusting him, like Palpatine's trusting him and he's trusting him back, but I think it's a total like
I mean, that's the whole like point of like the dark side is they're supposed to like kill their master because they want to be the master after. It's always a hunt for more power.
Yeah, exactly.
And killing the people who have power and getting it for yourself. But it's a constant cycle.
That's interesting. I always thought that Mas Amedda was like a suck up, so I kind of feel the other way. But I guess there is the possibility.
What do suck ups want?
They want to be teacher's pet.
They doesn't have daddy to love them.
Yeah, Jessica's right on the nose there. Mas Amedda just wants a daddy. What more disapproving father could you ask for than
Palpatine with his
Palpatine,
like 12-inch fingers?
So, Jesus Christ,
that's disgusting.
He does. He does.
His fingers are disgusting. Why does he have like 10 knuckles? And why are they 12 inches long?
He does. You're right. And they're like brown.
It's so gross.
Everyone should know he's evil when you see his
by those 12-inch fingers.
So it seems like you have a different opinion on that. So who here like thinks that Mas Amedda is trying to overthrow Palpatine?
Nope.
You don't? You think he's just a suck up?
No, I think he's just like boys with Palpatine and he's in it to win it. So he's on the winning side.
Jessica?
I think he's just like riding the wave.
I think he's just riding the wave too. That's a better way. I definitely see he's like, maybe one day I could be the Emperor. But that's not his end goal per se. He's just kind of like,
I don't know. I feel like
he probably doesn't know like all details about Palpatine. He probably thinks that Palpatine's just like a corrupt politician who's trying to make an empire.
I do think he knows that Palpatine wants an empire, and I think that's
100%.
And I think that's like enough information that he could totally blackmail him or totally out him.
I wish he would, because I hate him. And also, like, it's so insidious how like even this plot, they're just like, whatever, we'll get him next time. At the end, they're just
like totally downplaying how evil they are.
Yeah,
they're like, it didn't work out.
He was
just move on.
He was so sweet. He was like, oh, I'm so happy everything worked out the way it did. We can still be friends. And not even Mas Amedda puts on like a smile. Like you never see him smile.
All right, so that concludes like the main discussion.
Wait, hot take. Who's ready for a hot take?
I'm ready for a hot take.
Anyone else is ready,
I'm ready
for hot?
cold cake. You're so tired with yourself.
Oh, no.
I was getting sick of Obi-Wan. He was getting old, and this
it's no secret.
This arc gave him new life. Now I love him again.
Yeah, Obi-Wan, we've called him many, many things at this point over the course of the podcast.
Insensitive.
Cares more about quips than human life. Bad teacher. Bad father figure.
Yeah.
Failure.
Warmonger.
He has a beard that's covering his beautiful face.
Bastard.
To his
handsome.
To his credit,
his
though,
handsome face.
The entire like inception of Obi-Wan was to be a failure. Like in A New Hope, he like calls himself like a failure.
True. Okay, that's a good.
To be fair, he's a failure.
That's a good point.
To be fair, that was like his original concept.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, Obi-Wan is like introduced in Attack of the Clones as like being like really combative against Anakin, and knowing the road Anakin's gonna go down, like it's hard like not to say like, hey, Obi-Wan, like chill out. But we get the opportunity here to see him chill out and be a really, I'd say like a drastically different character than we've really seen Obi-Wan be at this point. And I think this is like sort of the softening of the edges of Obi-Wan.
He felt extremely human.
Yeah.
And just vulnerable, like we said before. And more relatable than just some annoying guy who's making quips.
So what's the hot take?
It was like a medium take.
Hot take number 2.
So we're done with our hot take number 1.
Now time to segue into hot take number 2.
Hot take number 2. This is a really good Obi-Wan arc. And
wow, same as hot take number 1. Hot take number 3, anyone?
No. My hot take is that Obi-Wan is not beautiful. He's handsome.
Nice.
This has been a really good Obi-Wan arc. Comma. Have we had any good Obi-Wan arcs previously?
Negatory.
Yeah, we really haven't. Honestly, probably Attack of the Clones is the best Obi-Wan arc so far, and that's like...
I think the best Obi-Wan arc like lives online. Just in memes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty true.
I thought you meant like someone's fan fiction.
Yeah, that's where I thought that was going too. But you know, what are memes if not the ultimate fan fiction?
Memes are fan fiction for the people.
Memes are fan fictions that are 2 sentences long. So the best possible fan fiction. It's
yeah,
like
memes
Twitter
are just like really good writing if you think about it.
I think about it constantly. Well, that just about wraps up the Mandalore arc. I mean, I think I've heard it pretty much from everyone here. Do we all agree this is probably the best arc that we've gotten?
Best arc so far.
Yep.
Definitely my favorite that we've watched so far.
Bro, is it the best, including Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones? Is it the
Yes.
best
Yes.
so far?
Even more so.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
When compared to that, even more so. Better.
Yes. Awesome.
This feels more like a movie.
Yeah, it
does.
does.
Yeah.
It does. Next week, you'll need to watch Season 2, Episode 20, Death Trap, Season 2, Episode 21, R2 Comes Home, and Season 2, Episode 22, Lethal Takedown. That's actually the Season 2 finale. We're done with Season 2.
Dude, I cannot wait to watch these droid episodes. Jessica, you're going to love the droid episodes.
Yay! The droid episodes.
Yeah, it's all droids
Great.
all day.
More philosophy.
You said that at the end of last week's episode as well. It's just like
I said that I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He was right.
You are right, brother. All right.
Finally, vindication for Keats.
I guess at the end you're right, brother.
That's the ultimate hot take. Keats was right.
No, it wasn't.
Screw droids.
If you want to get up-to-date information on the podcast and an up-to-date schedule, you can like us on Facebook and Instagram.
And now Twitter.
Nope.
We're too
Hop
lazy.
on the gram.
Too lazy to do Twitter. Better hop on the gram.
Hop on the gram and hit that like.
Talk to your gram and make a new gram.
This has been Yates.
Keats.
Gram.
Jessica. And Jordan.
Jordan.
May the Force be with you.